Yeah, so I wasn't given a whole lot of direction about where exactly we should go and pick out, but he said, what stuff attracts your eye? And I'm like, I got to limit it. So, if you look up and down here, hardware is what attracts my eye. And here, one of the things I love, and of course one of the things that's most popular is, some people, it's great. We can do all of our research online, and we can remotely configure things, and we can get some remote stick time. But there's something about putting your hands and being able to touch some of the technology, and of course Cisco has long been a hardware company that does a ton of software, and that's where some of the innovation is found. But this week, what I've been drawn to, especially because I feel like it represents such a good foundational layer that is supporting everything else we do, and that is in catalyst switching, and I always love it when they have the open, what do you call this? Deval Yeager's with me, old friend that came on TechWise TV and taught me things way back in the day. And but on this, yeah, I'll let you go ahead and hold that just to make sure we can shoot the camera across there. But so this particular switch here, what are we looking at?
So we're looking at some of the new functionality of the 9350 smart switch that has the new Silicon One processors in it that allow us to do processing in a much more efficient way. It's more efficient for power, so it's saving power. It also does the QoS in a smarter way so that we're able to have more applications going through, especially time-sensitive applications. In the past, we had many specialized switches for high buffers, for video, and other switches that we would use for fast packet processing. Now we can do all of this in one switch, thanks to Silicon One, that processes these data in a much smarter way. And on the management side, it's much simpler, because rather than having two operating systems for Meraki and traditional Catalyst Center, there's one iOS XE that you can use in Catalyst Center or the cloud. When you boot up the switch, it looks for which way to go. If you're using Meraki, the switch is going to appear in your dashboard and you're going to be able to install it. If you're using Catalyst Center, it's the same process as always, so it's just easier to use.
Well, that management story has been a big thing this week, of course. We only recently rolled this out, but yet it's something we've talked about for years, because we really do have two fundamentally differently targeted infrastructure, ways of approaching your infrastructure in that perspective. Big fan of Meraki, but also I'm a big fan of Catalyst and historically there, but I love seeing, because boy, no one does management and interaction better, I feel like, than Meraki did, and that's exactly why we formed that relationship. But these things are special because they really help lay out that foundational compounding effect, right? You're looking at a switch refresh. The reason that you might consider what some may consider a Cisco premium is you go, it's going to enable me to do things such that they get less expensive over time because the platform is continuing to get smarter. Can you tell me from a switching perspective how to back that up?
Well,
what
I would
additional
say,
things
I think the most interesting thing when you talk to teams here and you talk to the IT people, and you say, what happens, maybe you're talking to a hospital IT team, you say, so when the doctors get together and they go to a trade show and they look at all the different applications and the AI that's running, do they talk to you about it? He said, no, they just drop it off on my desk and say, we need this to run on the network. And I don't have a crystal ball of what that's going to be. What is the imaging going to look like? What are the types of data that I'm going to have to deal with next year and the year after that? So by running with a smart switch that can handle data in different ways, higher power capacity on the PoE, so you can handle more power, more devices, and higher data speeds for more types of data, but also the management so that you're not using as much energy, as much power to do that, and you're more sustainable. I think that's what makes it, because no one has a crystal ball. We don't know where it's going.
Boy, and now it's never been, anyone that has to make a decision about what to invest now for something that we used to think this is a 5 to 10 year horizon, you go, is it still a 5 to 10 year horizon? Because and that's really going back to the power of the Silicon One, correct? You get hardware capabilities, but with that flexibility to reprogram, if we're saying, hey, we've got new things we need to do from a cryptographic inspection perspective, then we need to do that in hardware because we can't handle the latency. This is a foundation that sets you up to not make decisions that are irreversible as you move forward. Is that fair?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. And a lot of the network services vendors that are doing IPAM systems and all the things like DHCP and DNS that are running our networks, they're also putting things at the edge as well. So we need to be able to run applications and and agents on our switches. This is another smart thing that we've done new in here, being able to run more applications and more agents at the edge.
I remember back when we were when we were coming out with the ability to run applications on here, and I was kind of struggling, maybe others weren't, with, oh, what does that mean? How do we manage that? Where does it go? And some of the use cases seemed like a stretch at the time, but it's funny how many things are coming together now, and you go, oh, I see the benefit of some of these investments made quite some time ago, before we knew AI was going to be changing our daily activities, if you will. Well, Deval, thank you so much. It's so good to run into you again, man.
Great.
It looks like you're doing fantastic, and I appreciate you sharing this with us. Guys, these are just a few of my favorite things, which is really not a way to limit anything at all when you come through here. But if you get a chance, of course, come get your hands on with this experience here. Ask these guys that are hanging out here, just desperate to answer the hard questions, if you will. But that's the whole point of the hardware being here, is to be able to get the hands on. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and throw it back to Cedric in the studio.